Welcome to Friendly Math 101. Today's lesson is over, solving systems of inequalities. Some important things we want to remember about inequalities are whether or not we shade up or down, and whether or not we draw a solid or a dotted line. So, if we have any greater than sign, greater than or greater than or equal to, we're going to shade above. Shade greater than the line. If we have less than or equal to, we're going to shade below. If we have greater than or less than, without the equal to part, that's going to be a dotted line. If we have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, that's going to be a solid line. So those are some things we need to keep in mind as we are graphing our inequalities. Now, here's our first example. We have our two inequalities here. Now let's graph them. So the first one, y is greater than 3x minus 3. It's good the way it is. I just need to graph it. So I'm going to write my m and my b, and we'll graph. So the slope of this line is 3. I want to make that a fraction, so I'm just going to put it over 1. My b here is negative 3. Remember, when we're graphing lines, we always start with our b. So b is negative 3, which means on my y-axis, I'm going to go down to negative 3. Then my slope tells me what to do from there. It says go up 3, my rise is 3, to the right 1. And you can do that as many times as you would like. Now, once we have a few points on there, we need to determine whether or not it's going to be a solid or a dotted line. This one is the greater than sign. There's no equal to, so it's a dotted line. So we're going to draw a dotted line. Okay, then our next step is to shade. Here it's greater than, so we need to shade above the line. Greater than means shade above the line. So we're going to shade here. Everything above the line. Now let's move on to our next inequality. So this one here, y is less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 2. My slope there is 1/2. My b is 2. My y-intercept is 2. So we always start with our b, positive 2 on our y-axis. Then my m tells me what to do after that. So my rise is going to be 1, and my run is 2. Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. And so on. Now, once we have a couple points, we can look to see if we're going to have a solid or a dotted line. Here, our symbol is less than or equal to, so we're going to have a solid line. So draw our solid line through the points there. Once we've done that, now we need to shade. My sign is less than or equal to, so I'm going to shade below the line. Now make sure you know which line you're looking at. So my line that I just drew is here. So I'm going to shade everything below that line. Everything below that line. I'm ignoring the first line that I drew there. Now our answer, or our solution, is where these two intersect. So we have our first line here. That's the red shaded region. My second line is the green shaded region. So where they intersect is where it's red and green, which is this section right here. Now, let's just write down a possible solution to this, because everything in this intersection here is a solution to this system. But let's write down a possible solution. Now be careful. Do not pick a point on the line, because on this dotted line, none of those points are included. So it's always safer just to pick a point in the shaded region. There's a lot of them. So any point that's in this green and red section, I'm just going to say here, just a random point, that x value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5. And that y value is -3. So this would be a possible solution if the question asked for one. Anything again in that intersection there is a solution. Now let's move on to our next example here. Again, I'm going to start the same way, graph my lines. My first line is y is greater than -2x minus 1. Since we're already in slope-intercept form, I can just write my slope and intercept and graph from there. So, my slope in this line is -2. I'm going to make it a fraction by putting it over 1. My b is -1. And we'll graph, so start with our b, -1 here. My slope tells me what to do from there. It says go down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. Or I could do the opposite, go up and to the left. Now that we have a couple points, we need to look if we have a solid or a dotted line. This is the greater than sign, not equal to, which means it's not included. So it's going to be a dotted line. Then I need to shade. So I'm going to shade greater than. That means above the line. So I'll shade that in green. Everything above the line there. Now it's time for the next line. The next line is -4x plus y is greater than or equal to 1. Well, this one we can't automatically recognize our slope and intercept because it's not in proper form. So we need to get y by itself. The first thing I need to do to get y by itself is to move the x to the other side. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. Adding and subtracting doesn't mess with your sign, so it's going to stay greater than or equal to. And I'm going to put it in mx plus b form, so I'm going to put the x first. And it's plus 1 since it's a positive 1 on the right hand side. Now y is by itself, so I can list my slope and my intercept. My slope here is 4. I'm going to put it over 1. My intercept is 1, positive 1. So I start with my y-intercept, positive 1 is here. And my slope tells me to go up 4 to the right 1. Or I could go down 4 to the left 1. Now that I have a couple points, I need to look if I have a solid or a dotted line. Be careful to use the correct sign. In this case, they're the same, but they could change depending on if you divide or multiply by a negative number. So I'm going to ignore that, and I'm looking at the equation, the inequality that I came up with when I put it in slope-intercept form. So this is the symbol I need to look at, this one here, greater than or equal to. Since it's equal to, we draw a solid line through our points. And our symbol is greater than, so I'm going to shade above the line. So here's my line. I'm going to shade everything above that line. Really should shade the other way. That's okay. Everything above that line. Now our solution is going to be the intersection between the red and the green. So in this case, it's going to be this section right here. Again, we're going to list a possible solution. Again, any point in that intersection, in that intersected region will work. Again, try to steer clear of the points on the lines. So anything in this region, I'll pick this point here. X value is -1. Y value is 7. So -1, 7, That's a possible solution, but there are an infinite number of solutions. Anything in that intersection there would work. Thank you for watching, and for more math tutorials, please subscribe to our channel, Friendly Math 101.